Okay, let's get rolling. Hey, welcome everybody. This is the Meshery development meeting, the first one of 2022. And surprise, we're live on YouTube. We're actually not live on YouTube. It's a private feed, but we're trying to streamline part of the processes as we head into the new year. So don't be alarmed if you try to see yourself on YouTube, but you can't at the moment. Don't worry, you'll be internet famous in about an hour. So, okay. Well, we've got a healthy set of topics lined up. Last time we met wasn't very long ago. I think we met just before Christmas. And so for those that are, well, we have a couple of housekeeping items, I guess. First, a quick check. Is anyone new on the call today? Like first time on the Meshery dev call? If so, it's time to get to know you. It's time to say hi. And we've got a few folks, a couple of folks that might be the first time in this particular call, maybe. So I'll ask Rohit, if it's your first time, or Mohit, either the two of you guys.
Yeah, first time here.
Nice. Yeah, say hi if you would. Just a quick intro.
Yeah, I'm Mohit. I am from India. Like get to know about Meshery from my friend just few days ago only, and like I have passionate about DevOps field, so that's why I joined this.
Nice. Mohit, so you have to, okay, hold on. I'm getting my pen ready. Okay, tell me the name of the person that told you about this, and then we're going to have to, no, I'm just, okay, no, great. So Mohit, nice to have you. Good of you to jump on. Bunch of DevOps stuff to jump into, by the way.
Nishant, are you asking the person who told me about this?
Nice. Was it Nishant? Okay,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah, Nishant Mittal, yeah.
That's great. That's perfect. Good to have you. There's a lot of things outside of straight up coding to be done in the projects. One of them is really critical, and we're going to find a lot of people in cloud native land paying attention to service mesh performance in the upcoming months. And so one of Meshery's sibling projects, Service Mesh Performance, SMP, it needs people oriented toward DevOps. Like we need to do a lot of different automation of tests and evaluation of tests. We're going to work with the CNCF's labs and do a bunch of performance evaluations. And so, like, message about that in Slack or somewhere, or join the SMP call. But jump in there, that would be great. Rohit. Over to Mohit.
Hi, Lee. Am I audible?
Yeah.
So it's my first time in this meeting. I get to know about Meshery from LFX fellowship. So I've been working with you guys, I think it's from last week. So this was all about me, and I'm from India, and I'm currently a second year BTech student.
Nice. Yep. So this is Mr. Sahani. Is that right? Am I getting your last name? Or am I thinking of your GitHub handle?
It's Saini. It's Saini.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm terrible. Hey, by the way, Rohit and Mohit and Debopriya and Ashish, do you all mind adding your last names to the participants list in Zoom? That way we can.
I think I have joined this meeting with the wrong name. Typing mistake. My name is Mohit. Rohit is being written in the Zoom call. Let me write my name in chat.
Very good. Hey, Aditya, do you want to take it away?
Yep. Sure. Actually, you have the first topic, so if you would continue.
Allow me to introduce myself. Hey, so first topic of today is the fact that we're about to land the plane, land Meshery V060. We're on the third release candidate, so we're super close to what will be a pretty significant release. As we wind that release down, we start to spin up v0.70 for Meshery. And so there's a hyperlink in the first topic to the roadmap for v0.70. What's listed on the roadmap is individual feature champions, or whether it's a feature or more of a chore, more of internal infrastructure for the project. Either way, there are individual names listed as those that would be the champion for that particular thing. And so these are large epics, if you will, if you want to use more of an agile nomenclature. And so there've been an email or two, or there have been a few emails about the roadmap. And the most recent one was sent out to each of the individuals that are on this list. Hopefully all of them got it. And so what we're asking people to do is reflect on their willingness to take on and champion that area and drive it forward for the .7 release. So if you're on the call and you haven't responded to that email, go confirm. Yep, that's item number 1.
All right. Thank you, Lee. Moving on, Piyush, would you like to speak to your topic?
Okay. Hi. Hello. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I'm using latest mesheryctl version. This is release candidate 3. And just a second. Okay. So right here we are looking on the pods that are running right now. This is a really I created this cluster very recently. We can see 5 minutes has been passed. So this is a new Minikube cluster, and I'm going to start Meshery with our latest release. Okay, let me clear it first. Maybe it might not be visible to a lot of people. So pods are getting started. And there is a spinner loading up, which is showing that Meshery is being started. This is taking time right now. Okay, so
Joke.
This is stopped. Why it is not executing? Okay, nice. That's good. Okay, so I can see that there is an error. I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. While Meshery was deploying, being deployed to Kubernetes, it says that some Meshery pods have not come up yet, and asking for us to check the pod status with mesheryctl system status, and also showing us a link to open Meshery. Let's hit it. It says that it's not working, right? And very recently, someone in Slack said that he was not able to access Meshery UI. It was stuck. It was not working. So how do we improve this? I came with something new. I won't run it because it will take time. I'll show you a video that I already recorded. Yeah, this one. So I'll start here. Yeah, so this is starting Meshery UI, Meshery, and right now the status of the pod is container creating. It will keep waiting to get Meshery to the running state. It is just trying and wait till Meshery reaches the running state, and after around 2 minutes and 30 seconds, yeah, it switched. Okay, Meshery is running, and that started Meshery with a correct endpoint, and it is accessible. The moment the pod status changes, we are on the screen, we have accessible Meshery UI. Okay, first thing, two problems have been solved with this. First, that is like we are efficiently polling the time which is going to take which is going to be like taken up by the pods. And second, the endpoint will be always correct after this getting merged. Yeah. So these are two new changes to the user experience with system start. It will like help a lot of people, I guess. So
Yeah, who has questions for Piyush? He's trying to, well, not trying to, he is improving the user experience as people go to start Meshery.
this will actually also help in mesheryctl mesh command, because whenever we deploy the service meshes like linkerd is getting started, we do not know it actually started or not, because we have no idea of the pods changing their state. So these functions, these readiness functions, the readiness health checks can be generalized for any pods, and we can send back some new data that it has been actually started, not just operation was executed. Things are running. So it will help us in that area.
Hussaina, do you have comments? Hussaina, I don't know if you have a moment to reflect on whether or not like readiness probes or liveness probes in Kubernetes specifically for a Meshery deployment, like how those might tie in here.
I did see his review, Lee. I think he's checking whether the Meshery pod comes up or not by polling, right? So, like he just mentioned, that it should be done for other pods as well, right? So I see that it is right now hard coded to Meshery pod, right? In the change set, yeah, and maybe in future we would do this for operator and others as well, right? So
Yeah.
and yeah, and one other thing I wanted to check was like, I mean, we are querying this pod status at regular intervals, right? There is some logic to do it in an exponential manner, right? So maybe instead of calling the Cube API at regular intervals, maybe we could double the timeout, right? If the pod is not ready yet, we could, let's say, we queried at a second, and then maybe 4th second and 8th second kind of thing. Exponential.
Yeah, back off and retry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, I was trying to do that when I started with this problem, but then I found that there is a command in kubectl known as a kubectl wait, and you can pass conditions to check that. Whenever you are just deploying some Helm chart or manifest, then you can run kubectl wait, and it will wait till the pod gets started or whatever the condition you have passed as the argument. So I checked out that command, how that works, and what I have implemented is literally the copycat of that. I would say. So it is not something that I have created, like I thought of out of the box, because that might not be the very best solution. Okay, so I checked it how that works and tried to replicate it in here. So I thought we can query it in intervals after 10 seconds, after 10 seconds again, but that was not being implemented by kubectl. So I thought if kubectl is doing it at each second, maybe we can do that also. Like the timeout set, the default timeout is for 5 minutes, and I think 5 minutes is enough for any system to start Meshery. I mean, Meshery's image is very small, 200 MBs maybe. Yeah, 200 MBs, and 5 minutes should be enough to get it started. and we can
Yeah,
hit it
actually,
at
I
like each
had
second.
that also as one of the query. Like, I mean, have you considered all the speeds of getting the meshery pod, right? Though it is like 200 MB, there could be like very slow connections. In that case, also it should be enough for pulling the meshery image and starting it, right? So I believe you would have considered all that, right? So
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if I haven't considered that fact that it might take more than 5 minutes. But if it takes more than 5 minutes, we will return just an error that the pods haven't reached the running state yet. But you can check them with meshery system status, and to get the URL of meshery, you can run meshery system dashboard. So we are like telling them the information that they can to which they can access meshery UI.
Can we not show like status going on, like we are pulling the images, now we are deploying the image, like usually it happens? More interactive outputs to the user.
I believe he already had the image, that's why it's not shown, I guess. But if you do it for the very first time, I think we get all that, right? Image pulling,
Just to
all
confirm
those
it
logs.
gets or not.
Yeah, that is shown by kubectl commands, that image is being pulled and then it is getting started, container is being created, and things like that. But I'm not sure if we should show them in mesheryctl. Like the command is the the only purpose of command is to get started with it, get start, and the lack of the errors was that we had no idea when meshery was coming up. So we were using some times, sleep times. We were sleeping for some time, maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. But that was simply not enough. 30 seconds is not enough to get the pod started. So that's how I came up with something that can poll till meshery changes its state to running. And yeah, that's what I have. Maybe we can show that it is the image is being pulled off, but I'm not sure if Cube APIs does provide those information. It does provide the state, so I use the state thing.
Yeah, this is purely UX, right? Because like let's say that mesheries will start just array logic. It's just like the user experience we're trying to enhance, so that user can be certain when it's ready, right?
Yeah.
And if the timeout is gone, then there'll be like a message stating that it's not ready, right? And then just a matter of paying attention to the status through another command, right?
Yeah, that's what I have implemented. That if it is not ready yet, you can just use the other commands to wait more, to get them started.
So if it times out and it's not ready, the output would suggest the user to try that other command, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think I saw it. That's pretty good, actually.
Anybody else have feedback? I was just typing a thesis while you guys were all so I didn't hear anyone say that this is not a step forward, that this is not an improvement. I think that that's true. Someone will interrupt me if they don't think so. Hussaina's initial suggestion was that we might be able to sort of do something slightly more intelligent or slightly more efficient with an exponential back up and retry rather than every 10 seconds. The overhead there is probably negligible. That said, it's to Piyush's sort of final point on his initial presentation. This isn't the only area that the only area of meshery that such logic, such assertion, like verifying an assertion, like meshery is running. That's an assertion that you want to verify. It's like, wow, those assertions go right back into some integration tests that we're going to talk about later in the call. Those assertions go right back into what Meshery does as in its orchestration role, as it's orchestrating and deploying and reconfiguring service meshes. That it need, when it's done with the operation, it would have an assertion that the configuration that was applied to the mesh is in fact, was successful, is in fact applied. And so Piyush's example there is like, thinking forward toward the command mesheryctl mesh, which deploys service meshes and configures them, particularly as you think toward mesheryctl pattern, which may incorporate any number of configurations that you would send to a mesh. Like the assertion, the verification that particular operation was successful, it gets it can get really hairy, really complex. And so the manner by which you define the assertion really needs to be programmatic, and we need to be programmatic based on like a reflection of the pattern itself. So to summarize, it is to say, Piyush, I think you have a winner. I think it's a step forward. I think that, from my perspective, others can disagree, is it's probably not worth the investment into the exponential backoff and retry here. Having said that, as you look to advance this area and make Meshery even more intelligent with respect to these style of asynchronous interactions in which you're really not sure how long the particular operation is going to take. This operation includes pulling down up to 10 different container images into a Kubernetes cluster, having them spin up and fully realized. We have, to Hussaina's point, we have little to no idea how long that might take. It should be less than 5 minutes, but slower connections, it might take longer. And so, yeah. So anyway, there's potential enhancements to do. It's, I think, Piyush, you demoed both responses, right? You demoed the timeout response and what the UX would be, and then you demoed the successful response as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone want to recharacterize or suggest something different than how I summarized? Damn right you don't. Okay, good. No. Please.
I have something, but sorry, Mario. Okay, so maybe it's not like for now. There might be other pressing concerns, more pressing concerns. But what about, let's say it fails? Maybe your cluster's not, able to manage. Things could happen. Is there some kind of output we can do, or like how easy is it to diagnose? Hey, I could deploy my Meshery on my cluster. What's going on, right? How user friendly is that?
Okay, so Lee has wrote on the doc that there is a really good command which isn't being used by a lot of people. That is mesheryctl system check. It actually checks if your cluster is ready to deploy Meshery, and it is connected, and all kind of checks. Even after deploying Meshery, if you want to check that your system is fully configured or not, there are 2 or 3 checks that will confirm that your system is completely configured. Adapters are connected. Meshery is connected to adapters. Meshery is connected to the Kubernetes server, and you can do all the operations. So there are checks, and there will be multiple checks in future also. So that command will help in those areas.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Nithish, you're up.
Yeah. So, hey guys. So actually, I wouldn't be able to share my screen right now. So if you could, if I could, whoever's sharing the screen right now, I could actually navigate them. So basically, like right now we have a proposal for making huge changes in the Meshery UI architecture, and yeah, so you can actually go to the links and see what's the reason behind you know we are actually introducing some new parts into Meshery UI, such as Redux and Redux Trunk, Redux Observable. And the reason for why we are doing that is actually explained pretty well over in this particular spec. So you can actually look at that and understand why. And also, yeah, currently as a part of that, like the implementation process is currently going on, and it's so if you want to get started, you can actually go to the branch over there that's called Meshery UI Restructuring. There is also a link. We have that link in the doc as well. And in the README file, you can it's pretty well explained as to how you can get started with contributing to this particular initiative. That is, yeah, this overall of architecture and Meshery UI. Yep. So actually, like, yeah, the point here is that if you're someone who's looking to contribute to UI or front end, it's so currently like the tech stack that they're using is that is also listed over there. But yeah, it's Next.js and mostly based on React. So if you're someone who wants to contribute to React or front end in general, then this might be a good thing to look into for you. So yep. And also, if you have some doubts or anything, like you can just ping in Slack, or yeah, people, there are people who would actually help, love to help. So yeah, also we have a implementation tracker. So one issue, okay, actually, like these are the so one part of that implementation is to create some globally reusable components that we can actually use to all over UI. So that's basically kind of like a component library for Meshery UI. So yeah, that's basically the kind of intention behind creating globally reusable components. So we had these are the list of components that has to be created, and as you can see, a lot of people have assigned themselves to particular components, and a lot of people have delivered them as well. And yeah, like these are pretty general components, and we would actually so the next part of this would be to create more use case specific components. And before we start doing that, there would actually be we would actually have to come up with some designs. And if you are someone who is into design as well, then also, yeah, there's a lot to be done in that area as well. So yeah, so yeah, just go over the code base and see how things are being implemented, and if you think there's something that we can improve, or you feel different, then yeah, just let's just get engaged and mm, make it better. Yep.
Nithish, you'd like to get engaged? Are you proposing right now, Nithish? What is it? Okay. All right, good. I figured bad jokes were going around, so
Sorry, about the refactoring of the UI. Is there any plans to add any unit or component test as part of this work on the UI?
So right now, as you can see, like most of the components are being taken up. So yeah, we are actually kind of waiting on the designs. And actually, like there are some yeah, there are some implementation, like backend integration things that are still left out. But we are actually waiting on some decisions to be made before we start implementing that. So yeah, we kind of hold up with some designs right now. So that's basically the situation right now. But nevertheless, there are a lot of areas that we can improve upon with the current implementation as well. So yep, there's we are not like, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, because I wanted to suggest the use of React testing library. I've had this experience in the team I work on my day job. So I think it's a pretty good option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
actually,
you guys are familiar.
yeah, we are actually using it. If you can look in the so actually, like, we have not yet started writing tests. Okay, that's probably something that we can yeah, okay, that's probably something that we can actually keep it as a next task for people to get started with. That is to start writing tests for the UI components that we have already written. Yeah, that's actually a great point. I don't know why I have
because if we defer, sorry to interrupt, because if it's deferred for later, now it'll be some kind of tech debt.
Yep.
It the point of having test-driven development is lost. It's not
Yeah.
something that can do like a kind of like is this done or it's not? Is it
Yep.
any
Yep.
kind of things? Yeah, and I really like the vision of these libraries or this ecosystem of React testing libraries is that it helps you test less implementation details and more
Yeah.
external of how your component works at the user perspective, even though it's at the component level.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys are familiar with it. Maybe someone else in the call is not so.
Yeah, actually, currently we are using just with React testing library, and yeah, to the point like we have not yet started writing a test. So yeah, that's
So it's
actually a
already
case.
set up in the refactoring branch.
Yep, it's actually set up. The setup is pretty complete. It's just that we haven't written any tests as of now.
Mhm. Okay, and is there a separate question? Is your plans to use TypeScript or is maybe there's some kind of decision
Yeah.
against using it or
Yeah, actually, regarding types, ideally, like we should be using TypeScript because obviously it's a lot better than JavaScript. That there's no other reason for that. But the reason why we're not doing it right now is if you think about it, like if someone who's new and he wants to contribute to Meshery UI, there are a lot of so let's say like if he comes and sees Meshery UI architecture or tech stack, you would want to learn obviously like let's assume that he knows React. And on top of that, he has to know Redux and Redux Observable
okay.
and
We want to
that
reduce like the difficulty to start contributing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
Okay. So
it
that's the
already
perceived.
kind of it already kind of feels intimidating for some people. And if we also introduce TypeScript, after some time, I mean, like let's say, obviously, like we would be there, we would want to go there after quite some time. But then, yeah, just waiting for that people to catch up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
of
that's the
course.
reason why. Although like there is an alternative that we are currently using, that is like we are actually trying to use JS doc as a way to mimic what a TypeScript is doing. Although it cannot actually match
Like type
TypeScript.
checks.
Yeah, it doesn't actually do compile time checks and all, but it helps the developers to write more safe code using JS doc. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, by the way, use of TypeScript in the refactor code is like we should discuss more about it. Like there is
Yeah,
one
yeah, of
harm
course.
that there's one harm that that people just know JavaScript first, then they do learn TypeScript. But that's, I think, is the only concern. Other than that, we are getting like more benefits, right? So less errors,
Yeah, I
less
think
bugs.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is challenging to be honest. I think it's just a matter of doing a proper not only like setup, but also to have a developer like go-to resources, how to set up things, common issues, and it's just another tool in the belt. It really helps to catch the most basic kind of errors.
Yeah,
And I
less
think,
bugs.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is challenging to be honest. I think it's just sorry, don't know who's speaking, but it's like your audio is like very far away. Maybe there's some kind of microphone.
No, it was from
Right.
Reese.
Yeah. All right. Fine.
Oh,
Fine.
okay.
Oust me. I don't know who's ousting me right now, but yeah, well, we're live streaming. Wow. What all the things that happened here. I clicked on the live stream tab and then we had yeah. All right. It's the first call of the year. Come on, guys. Give me a
Sure, no problem. We're all learning, right?
yeah.
I think that's my favorite part of being in this community. It's not right to not know. So keep it going.
So that's actually a very productive discussion. There's something that's fairly hard about like any project as it grows and matures. both in terms of the project itself, its vision, its capabilities, the community, the people around it, the processes around it. If you were to look at the processes that you would run when Meshery is a 1.0, if you would have started with those from the very beginning, most of them they would have been so much overhead, it would have been ridiculous. Like you would never get anywhere because you're just doing process. But by the time that you've got, and that's in part why there will probably perpetually be a theme of some component somewhere will always be in a process of being refactored in part because of that. So, but Gaurav, you're up next. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. I'm sharing my screen.
All right.
Yeah. So, yep, my update is pattern configurator enhancement in this. Let me just. Yeah. So, like most of us know that this pattern configurator is used for configuring our patterns based on this service and application that we have. So the library we are using over here is the RJSF, React JSON schema form, and this code mirror over here. So I have made a couple of changes in this UI of this pattern configurator. So previously it was a tab component that was overlapping with some of the style issues and all. So I re-enhanced this tab with, I think you have observed this a sweet little transition in this search, if it's visible or not, I guess. And it's not overlapping anymore, as you can see. And next item is like call for volunteers for designing an enhancement. Like as Nithish said, that we need to have like much of UX stuff needs to be done in the Meshery UI after the refactoring is done, or parallelly we can have many stuffs. And I guess there are a couple of issues related to UX and designing over Figma, and the Meshery UI components are also open. So you can have a look at this Figma file of the Meshery UI all components that we are using. And I guess one question to Mario's answer. He asked me yesterday on the mesh map call that this RJSF component that we are using in this mesh map also. So yep, Mario, this is the component that I was talking yesterday.
Okay, Gaurav, can you scroll?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, great. I was just worried about like where does question mark go like in replicas. Another another thing is like so this looks really great. Getting the icon like settings right in front that depicts like what is we are doing visually too. One thing that I would like to just have a concern on, like have you checked like where there are two tabs, like if you have your Axios adapter running, so you can check that you can go in it, and there are meshy components in the issue adapter itself that has two tabs like settings as well as traits. So I think I missed to mention it in PR, like I didn't remember, but if you just check it like after this call that those components are still intact, or that is aligning to the current design that you have done. So probably an icon for the traits too, that would suffice, right?
Yep. Okay, I'll check that and add if it is required.
Yep. Thanks.
Yep. And any other feedbacks and all? I guess we don't have much. So let me move to the next item. That is the GitHub import for patterns. So let me give a brief intro about what we have currently in the pattern UI. So currently we have the functionality of uploading patterns locally from our file system and from our URL directly. That is the raw URL from service mesh pattern repository. And next we are planning to have a GitHub import facility that will allow the user to import multiple patterns with a single click using this GitHub import approach. So I have also created a PR with a full demo, and like it's not worth to watch this whole 2.2 minutes video. So this was the UI that I had made for the GitHub import. But we have discussed, I have discussed this thing with Lee and like on the Slack, that why to have this two different kind of uploads, URL or GitHub. We can have a single upload that will have one URL, and all this GitHub ID, path, repository, and branch will be fetched automatically through the GitHub auth and all the credentials. So the user can import multiple patterns at a single time. Yep.
So just one little concern, like, is this the same prompt component that we're using everywhere in Meshery UI?
Yep, it's the same one.
Okay, okay.
Sort of, kind of. I think to Nitish's point is like, Gaurav is answering true, I think, with respect to the confines of patterns, applications, and filters. But then sort of with respect to maybe the rest of Meshery, those, the buttons are a bit, there's some differences, and they're probably not worth fixing in 6.0. But just a good reminder about how we want to drive reuse. And through reuse, we arrive at consistency. And through consistency, we arrive at high quality. And through high quality, we arrive at great UX. Anyway. So speaking of UX, and Gaurav had mentioned some design about trying to make a particular modal more sophisticated. He or I will drop a link to the mock-up in Figma about that redesign. So you all can comment.
Sure, I'll share that in chat and in Slack as well. Any more comments? If not, over to you, Aditya.
Thanks, Gaurav. So moving on, we have my topic regarding to the service mesh catalog. So to give context here, so there's been an upcoming effort to create a service mesh catalog where people would be able to download or copy the URL to existing patterns. Last time Jared had suggested to include a download button, so now we have incorporated a download option to download your YAML files. So the problem that was going on here was I was not being able to filter these patterns. We were going to go for a multiple filter approach. So I had written a JavaScript which was basically filtering the files, but I was not being able to get it on the cards. So that's why I have shifted to a radio option where it would redirect the user to a filtered page instead. I just started working on this yesterday, so there are a lot of problems around here, but right now we're going for a branched page method where when you filter, there is a separate page that you redirect to. So these are my updates.
A short comment here, and in part for the benefit of Faisal. Faisal, welcome to the call. Also, as you look at and review some of the WebAssembly filters, if you take a look at what Aditya is sharing here, this is a service mesh catalog. This catalog has patterns in it right now, but it's a catalog that can hold WebAssembly filters as well, a description of what those filters are, links to get them, links to import them into Meshery, and then for users to apply those filters through Meshery. So yeah, just kind of a relevant note to what you'd been looking at. Nice. Who's next? Any other comments, feedback for Aditya? Hurry up. I don't know if that's hurry up and finish.
I guess not. Okay, so moving on, we have Aditya. Aditya, would you like to share some updates on the service mesh labs that you've been working on?
Yeah. So hello everyone. I've been working on the service mesh labs that you can find on layer5.io/labs. Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Yes, sure.
Oh, I do not find the option to share my screen. All right, so I guess there's some issue, but yeah. So almost all of the labs have been updated. Like I have updated the instructions and screenshots of all the labs. Like and console and Istio are been working by Karin and Pranju, right? Other than that, all the lab instructions and the screenshots has been updated, but I have run into some issues regarding the instructions and commands on the lab. So and the first thing would be the traffic mesh lab, in which the Meshery UI is not detecting its connection status. So yeah, I talked to Lee about that also in the Slack, but yeah, I could not find any solutions for that too. Like after you install the traffic mesh with the install command, the mesh, and when you go to the Meshery UI tab, the chip for traffic mesh does not light up, and it says like adapter could not be configured. If any like
Yeah. And so, yeah, no, it's good. So, Hussaina, there's a, the nice thing is there's like 10 or 15 different people on the call who are more than capable of kind of engaging and troubleshooting this with you, because it's quite possible that you're onto a bug. It's possible. It might just be an environment issue with the Katacoda environment. It might be a bug with respect to naming. Maybe not, but it'd be great if we could get, if a single person on the call might volunteer to check this out. Like what you'd have to do is just go run this lab, the one for traffic mesh, and then explore the Kubernetes environment a little bit to understand why it is that the Meshery adapter for traffic mesh is not registering, or maybe it is, but why Meshery server is not able to talk back to it. So there's some. So speaking of DevOps, like it's possible there's a bug in the Golang in the Meshery adapter for traffic mesh, but it's also equally as possible that there's a DevOps. So there's some DevOps sleuthing that needs to happen, some discovery that needs to happen. Okay. So.
All right.
Anybody want to team up with Aditya on that? Anybody want to?
I'll check the lab. Can you share the URL in the chat?
Nice. So that's Piyush. Great.
Yeah.
And then
Piyush, okay. You were saying something? Yeah.
Nope. Go ahead.
Yeah, and for the other adapter I faced some trouble was that of Kuma adapter. Like, can you go to step 3 of this thing? Step 3.
Step 3 on the first page, or like the third step? Or
Yeah. One more continue. One more continue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This section exposing your sample application. Like, is this necessary for Kuma? Because I could not find the command for exactly running this. There was no proxy injector on the Kuma that was deployed, so I thought we can remove this part, or is it something that we have to add?
Yep, right. You're right. It needs to be removed. And one of the
So there's no sidecar injector for Kuma, right?
I have to go look. Like I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. Like it does follow that same process as a service mesh. That's how it works. But for my part, I don't recall like where they have their injector or what mechanism they're using to do that. I can tell you for sure that the lab that is for Meshery and Kuma shouldn't have any mention of console in it. So like, yeah, that section is probably.
Yeah, that was what I was wanting to check, that if there is something for sidecar injector, then we have to update this command. Otherwise, I'll just remove this entire thing.
Maybe by the time that you put up a PR that removes it, we'll have verified that in fact you don't. Like I'll try to run a quick test to just verify that, to identify where its injector is.
Yeah, I was trying to just update this in this current PR only, like on the process of updating all the instructions. So I thought I will remove this thing. All right. And other than that, the OSM adapters, the Kubernetes version is like, it requires a 1.19 adapter now, but I think the lab is running 1.18. So it is showing error when we try to install it.
Yeah. That's interesting because that's not specific to the labs, or shouldn't be.
Yeah, so I looked somewhere in the OSM that repository or something. Yeah, it said Kubernetes version required was greater than equals to 1.19, and what we have running in the lab is 1.18.
Nice. Well, you're in the capable hands of Piyush now. Yeah, good. I mean,
I have a request. Can you please repeat what exactly was your you said that it is wrong with the labs, with the traffic mesh lab.
Right. After you run the installation command.
Guys, I'm gonna be so bold as to say, what a beautiful question. Take it to Slack if you would.
Sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Hussaina. By the way, Aditya is he's just asking for some assistance, but he's also looking to have a few more labs created. So Mohit or Rohit, there's like, if you're into DevOps, those labs are a great thing to work on. You'll learn as you go. So over to Hussaina.
Yeah, actually this issue is about the token not being present in the file that we are looking at, right? So there is a default path that we look at, which is user directory .meshery auth.json. So if mesheryctl system config command is executed without -t option, -t token path option, we pick it up from the default location. And if the token is not present, so we used to throw some error saying that the file is not present or something like that, which does not help the user to do what exactly is missing kind of thing. So right now what I have done is whenever wherever this error is thrown, I have added a meaningful error saying that one needs to run mesheryctl system login if the token is not found, and then retry whatever operation they were doing. So this add auth details code is called in many mesheryctl commands like perf and list and some other mesheryctl commands, not just mesheryctl system config command context. So, and I have also refactored some code here in the add auth details where they were doing a read file and then unmarshalling to get the token and all that. It's already been handled in the read token function in utils package. So I'm directly calling read token here in the add auth details. And if that fails, for example, let's say someone called mesheryctl system config with a token path, which is not correct. So we try to read the token from that path, or if it is a empty file also. Users can just try that, right? So in that case, if it fails, we will check whether for a given, for the current context, if there is any token already present, right? So we try to pick that up. So line number 50 is about that. So this is a new function that I have written. So where we get the current context, and from that we try to get the token location. I mean, token get location is nothing but the path. From there we try to read the token. So if the token object is there, we will pass that. Otherwise, we'll throw that error message saying that run the mesheryctl system login first, and then retry whatever operation you are trying to do.
Nice. And Hussaina, is, for the most part, is this function fairly pervasively used for the other commands that you mentioned? You know, the mesheryctl perf, mesh. So this code would.
Yeah, actually this add auth details, if it fails in the context of any other command also, I think we can fall back to the authenticated token, right? So that way we can continue with that, right? So it should help those commands as well, not just the system config.
Nice, perfect. Yeah, perfect placement into the utils folder then. So, other feedback for Hussaina?
Okay, I have shared an issue link in the chats. If you can open that. Okay, so this like Hussaina, what you did is the correct approach, but one more addition is required. You can see that a few steps were like executed, like configuring meshery.
Yes, yeah. Actually, yeah, that was it would be useless if it eventually comes and fails, right? So
Yeah.
I thought through this, but the thing is that the common code in system config is in the set token function. So I could try to move it. So I could try to have like a prereq check before we call any of this AKS related. I mean, from the user for AKS inputs or EKS inputs, right? Like what is you want to create the config now and all that, right? So we can avoid this. Maybe I'll try to do that. I mean, like a prerequisite check before even getting into any of this user input, right? So I thought, I mean, I added it in the add auth details because for the other commands, it would be only add auth details, right? So that is where actually you need the token. So I thought it would be better there, but we could have one more prereq check.
Yeah,
saying that
that could be added to these kind of commands, and
yes,
yeah, that's what I was talking about. Good.
Yeah, I could have one more similar routine which could do a prerequisite kind of check. Yeah, I already noticed that we do this mesheryctl config read multiple times. So I was thinking it would be one more read of the file again. So, but anyway, I could consider adding that as well.
Yeah, nice. I was trying to. We have to finish off that thought. Well, so great. We're at time. We've got a few items that weren't quite covered today, but we'll have this same call same time next week. We also will continue to have the Meshery build and release call every other Thursday. And I'm trying to remember if that's this coming Thursday, tomorrow. Oops. That's not what I meet.layer5.io. So today's the 5th. Okay, so it's next week. We have the build and release call. Just as a refresher for me. So we're at time. Anybody have anything else critical before we take off? Otherwise, the next time we see you is potentially at the newcomers call tomorrow or the community meeting on Friday. Welcome to 2022. Omicron, I guess. Nice to see you all. Yeah. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye.